Hi, I'm Anthony Asquith of Affinity Training. Good afternoon. Thank you for taking the time to visit this short blog on influence, persuasion and encouragement of people and behaviour. Recently Gallup, the opinion poll organisation here in the UK, undertook research of 1,000 people, asking them about their opinions of traditional sales. And words that were used by the respondents included things like aggressive, pushy, smarmy, slick, sleazy and annoying. These are probably adjectives that would best describe our own feelings in relationship to how we would respond to being sold products that sometimes we're not really interested in ourselves, to be fair. What I wanted to ask you was a simple question of how much time in your day do you spend influencing, encouraging and persuading people? You see, this is a phenomenon known as non-sales selling. And the interesting thing is that many people are involved in this all the time nowadays. In your job role, it's probable that you may spend around 60% of the day information gathering, evaluating, assessing and digesting. And the other 40% of your day is probably in moving minds, attitudes and attention and behaviours of others, either directly through your interactions with people or maybe through the trainers that you've contracted to work for you. What I want to explore is what it is that makes people really good at this non-sales selling. There's a key word, I think, for this. It's called attunement. And the idea primarily is that you're able to assess and work with people and adjust your approaches to meet their frequencies. There's some research done by a gentleman called Adam Galinsky, and attunement contains several key ingredients. Adam Galinsky of Northwestern University, the Kellogg's Business School, researched the topic of dominance. Now, if you're a person who, in business or in your work or your life, perceives yourself as someone who's dominant, powerful, a go-getter, dynamic, do-it type of attitude, the probability is, according to Galinsky's research, is that you may, as an individual, lack perspective and the ability to see the world of other people, the needs of other people. And this research evidence has been also validated by the University of California through a guy called Dashner Keltner. And he looked at perspective, and one of the overall pieces of advice he gave to dominant people was to sometimes, just lower your status somewhat to meet the needs and levels of other people. He also demonstrated the fact that perspective taking was much more efficient than just empathy. Empathy is something that's driven by emotion and certainly builds relationships and will maintain loyalty in a relationship, but perspective seems to add commercial value to relationships. And they demonstrated this through research in 2008, where they took respondents for job interviews and also potential salespeople for commercial property development opportunities, and they briefed and gave information guidance to a group of the respondents on perspective taking. And what they noticed during the research was that the people who'd received perspective taking, in other words the ability to look at another person's world and understand their needs, actually seemed to not only sell more but also receive more job offers and were generally much more successful than those who had no coaching or anything else. Another factor within attunement, remember that word attunement, is connection. Those who really perform well and do well in getting on with others have a sense of what I term social cartography, the ability to understand that other people aren't isolated, aren't individual, they have connection with others. And it's important, according to the research, to be able to mind map the connections that a person you're working with or interacting with, whether in negotiation or dealing with, understand the connections and interactions they have with others. Now, the reason we make this point is because if you're negotiating or wanting to encourage people, you might need to bear in mind the fact that they too will have other people who will influence their decisions likewise. this could be people who are emotionally connected, this could be people who are commercially connected. The people who are commercially connected could be decision makers, and certainly will have some form of influence, may well have biases, and it's important for you to be able to understand that these people can exist. What I'm getting at here is alluding to how much time and energy you might find you waste by talking to the wrong people. Another factor within attunement, and again it keeps popping up, attunement, is strategic mimicry. This is the use of what is simply known as mirroring. A lot of this type of stuff we tend to do quite naturally, but it's being aware of voice tone, speed of speech, people's accents, their facial micro-expressions, a lot of the shrugs and the ticks that they give off. Much of the time we do this quite naturally, but it's really important to get good at what I term the chameleon effect. I'm not talking about copying everything that people do per se, but just being aware of other people's responses and physical movements and adjusting your approaches to reflect those movements, sometimes mimicking them back. Now, Galinsky and another researcher at Stanford University, Mullen, focused their experimentation at similar type situations with regards to commercial property deals and job offers. And what they found, those who were given coaching on actual active mimicry were much more successful in securing, again, higher commission values, more sales, and indeed better job offers as a consequence of this insightful training than those who've not been given any tuition on coaching on mimicry. And the reason that Galinsky and Mullen think this is the case is that, many hundreds of thousands of years ago, we as human beings may have dealt with smaller group sizes of people. Of course, we're now seeing availability of technology and information, and what's really apparent increasingly is that we're spending more time interacting with greater numbers of people. And so as human beings, we've unconsciously started to become more attuned to looking for unconscious responses in others, cues in our environment, in other words, to establish if we can trust people. It might be little things that they give off in the non-verbal cues that help us feel more comfortable, feel aligned to them, feel in sync. So it's important for you as an individual, if you're looking to negotiate well with people and achieve good results to make them feel comfortable, is getting good at the chameleon effect, being able to adjust your approaches to mimic them. Another factor involved in attunement, again I mentioned this, is touch. Connection with others physically. Nicolas Gougen, the psychologist in France, noted that when waiters were able to touch physically the patron making an order, they would often receive more tips, greater tips, than those who made no physical contact. Gougen's research also went on to demonstrate in nightclubs that male researchers touching briefly on the arm a lady when asking them to dance significantly increase their ability to receive positive responses. I mean, how amazing is that? Dutch researchers also discovered that when restaurant workers actually repeated back word for word verbatim the order that the patron had placed, they received approximately 70% more tips than those who didn't say anything at all. And equally, when asked for surveys, people who were touched, those who didn't get any physical contact, accepted 55% of the time. Those who accepted contact and physically were touched responded with 81% take-ups on surveys. So it's important to keep in mind that even a light amount of physical contact helps the process of attunement all the more. Equally, bearing in mind also remembering that people are connected, focusing down on their non-verbal cues is important. Understanding that people need time to work with you, to get to understand you, to feel comfortable around you. So I hope this, as I said, short video has been some insightful information, some use. Please do feel free to get in touch with us. As I said, affinity training, our main objectives are to encourage happier open communication within business, increase trust between you, your working staff, your customers, develop what I call a can-do, will-do culture, which obviously results in people within the workplace feeling better about themselves, better about their job roles, especially during economic uncertainties, leading to reduced absenteeism, increasing profitability and sales. If that sounds kind of interesting to you, please don't hesitate to get in touch. Our details you'll find on the email you clicked on from. Thank you ever so much. Hope you have a nice afternoon. Bye-bye.